Dear God, Creator, Divine Spirit, Jesus Christ, please watch over us today on this podcast. Blessings for our brother Dan, who invited us into the studio. Blessings for him and his family. And blessings for brother Patrick here and his family. And blessings to all. I pray, God, Creator, Divine Spirit, Jesus Christ, that you watch over us. May we think what we need to think. May we see what we need to see. May we speak what we need to speak. May we feel what we need to feel. May our message come through strong with blessings, with integrity, with vision, with purpose, with devotion and faith. Creator, watch over us. May our words be impeccable. May our vision be impeccable. May our lifetime's work be impeccable. May we keep showing up in deep service. May this podcast resonate out in good service and be delivered in a good way and received in a good way, spoken in a good way. May our life's work over the last 5 years in this work be portrayed in a good way in this podcast. May our tongues deliver silk into the brothers and sisters' ears. May they hear our message in a good way. May we deliver this in a good way. May we be in a good way. May we pray in a good way. May we be in a good way. May we pray in a good way. May we be here in a good way. Lord, Creator, Divine Spirit, please watch over us. Watch over this podcast. Watch over all the brothers and sisters listening. And may this be an invitation to any brother who is lost in any way to come back into the fold. May he join us in our hikes, in our gatherings, in our one-day workshops, and our 4-day expansive experiences. May he join us in re-indigenizing with the Sweat Lodge, in song, in ceremony, in prayer, in ritual. May we call on all the brothers of Ireland to hear this message in a good way, to be received in a good way. Lord, Creator, Divine, Great Spirit, Jesus Christ, please watch over us on this day. Amen, amen, amen.
Amen, brother. Now, with the name of Jesus Christ, Lord, I pray to you, our Father, God in heaven, Master of the universe. I pray to you for this day, for this moment, for this time, for this breath, to be able to hold us, to be in your presence, to guide us, to make us speak the truth, show us the truth, clear our minds and clear our hearts. Let us be one with these mics as we speak to each man, each woman, each child of yours, to be able to hear the words that we have to say as a message of light, as a beacon of light, in your name, in your glory, always, God. Amen.
Beautiful, thank you, brother. Origin story.
In the beginning.
In the beginning, there was. Okay, origin story, Pat. So, yeah, this is different because we're not really like, it's not like a presenter question, it's just like on a flow. So, our origin story, Pat, when we started MRT 4 years ago, it was powerful.
The biggest thing that jumps out for me and you was how unbridled we were, how uneducated we were, and how we were going off. It was 100% going off this really strong devotion, really strong feeling that we had just to do the work, and we didn't know which way to approach it, didn't know which way to do it. And by simply sitting down with each other, we got this image in our head that we'd do it over 4 weeks, this meet up 1 day a week of a Tuesday, and we made it the most difficult, as difficult as possible for men to actually sit into, lean and join. And just to give a quick overview, it was every Tuesday morning from 6 o'clock. And the gassing about it, what was the first? We did it meant to be for an hour, was it?
It was supposed to be an hour the first circle. We learned pretty quickly it wasn't going to be an hour.
Absolutely not. So every Tuesday, 6 a.m. we'd meet up and we'd go from there for an hour, which we thought would be an hour, definitely wasn't. So it'd be the hour, and then we'd move on. That'd be the end of it. We'd close the space. Very quickly over those, very quickly we went from 1 hour to 3 hours, and then from 3 hours to 4 hours, and then from 4 hours to 6 hours. Very quickly over that 1 day a week. We did, how many did we do? We did 3, didn't we?
We did 3 of them 4-week blocks.
So what we did was a 4-week block, arrive up every Tuesday, 6 a.m. in the morning, and the end result was we'd finish at 12 p.m. So from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. And this on a Tuesday morning. To get men into that space, they have to arrange it with their partners, they have to arrange it with their job, they have to arrange the whole day surrounding this. Not only that, they have to actually get up, which is the hard thing. But the structure behind that, and it's still something I look back on for the two of us that hadn't got a clue what we were doing, to put that together and to be able to deliver it as well. All glory to God, but I'm very honoured to be able to do that. Because what it gave us then was the seed of education to realise that we need more work in this, we need more education there, and we need to apply ourselves more into this space. From a feeling into that thought, into the creation of it, those 4-week blocks, that 4-week block from the Tuesday every morning, we realised how difficult it could be for a man to come into these spaces. So then we start breaking it down into workshops, breaking it down into online, breaking it down into WhatsApp groups, just to try and get men into these spaces. But the origins of it really came from those 4-week blocks, and just getting the men into spaces, which is the most difficult space for anything we've done. So up to this point, it's been the most difficult of spaces. But over those 4 weeks, man,
It's powerful.
the stuff that happened over it.
Yeah, and I remember we knew specifically made it difficult, 6 a.m. start on a Tuesday. This is like, because I think our original plan was we take days off for family events, we take days off for sickness. Why not take a day off for wellness on a Tuesday at 6 a.m.? And we got brothers signing up, we got 10 men straight away, and we soon realised the hour was not long enough. As soon as we opened the container, men just were like, in it and open, and it was like, wow, this is needed. You need to upscale, we need to create more, and we need more time. And after our first one was like, okay, I think we actually extended the 4-week block to a 5-week block in the end. Our first one.
Yeah, we did, because we hadn't got enough time to get what we wanted through. Yeah, definitely, yeah.
It's powerful. And it was in the dunes in Portmarnock, outdoors we started, and the 10 men, I'm still in contact with a lot of them men, and there are a lot of them men are doing really well from that moment. Big transitions in their lives, big changes from, they still credit MRT, and it's not me, it's God, and we know it's God. But they came, they were seen, they were heard, they were witnessed, they expressed, and they're just excelling now, from that moment. And there's some brothers in that events that still come to our events to this day, 4 years later, and they're still coming showing up, which is epic, and it's good to see that they're still with us and supporting us and see the vision and see the message. And the origin was amazing, Pat. How we created it was insane, and how we just ran with it,
Unbridled. That's what I love about it. It was unbridled, and it was just all learning. That we were learning as we were going along, and sometimes we have to remind. It was a big reminder of how much we had to do. It was also looking back. It's like for me, because I can look back now, I say to myself, that mindset of just going into something unbridled it's raw, it's real, it's on the moment, and I know we've realised that's a lot of how we work going forward. We definitely, one of the biggest things we had to learn from all of that was structure. We needed structure in our life. We needed structure when it came to MRT. We needed structure when it came to being able to present these to men, and we're continuously learning that. So the structure of it was the biggest lesson in that. But I love the fact that we still carry that unbridledness, that rawness. That's just like, what are you thinking? How are you feeling? What are we doing? Boom. And on the spot, we can just create that for men and bring it through. And it's there, and touch wood and thank God. But this is something that keeps growing and keeps getting bigger, keeps getting deeper, and it keeps inviting different type of men every single time. You have the rich man, you have the poor man, you have the intellectual man, you have the man that's struggling to read, you have the man who's clean as a whistle, and you have the other fellas coming from criminality. You have the one is healthy, eating everything all right, and you have the other one that's coming from addiction. So you have a whole diverse. You have the straight man, the gay man. You have it's literally the whole diverse of men coming through, and it's something that I love. Our balance. I love how we are. I'm a family man. No criminality, no drug addictions. Not coming from a rough upbringing, coming from a steady home, mother, father, brothers, sisters, coming from a community where you had to have your wits about you at Ballymun, but still having good people around me, and I was able to have that, thankfully. And then they have the looks of yourself. I don't want to speak of yourself, but coming through criminality, coming through drug addiction, coming through an upbringing without a father, single mother, all that type of stuff coming up, and how it formed you when we are today. The balance we have, that I can see things that you may not be able to see when it comes to a family man, and I certainly can't see anything when it comes to criminality, drug addiction, single home parent. We were able to bring that through, and that's why I love the variety of men that when they do come through, starting off with two lads like me and you doing the work on ourselves, getting that call to do men's work, bringing it through, and just seeing the diverse men that comes through. We can hold that container, we can hold that space, and no matter who walks through the door, as far as we're concerned, they're just a man,
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. It didn't really come into my comprehension or acknowledgement of how different we were until a man said it to us at an event. I think it was our second or third 4-week container. And a brother came up to him and was like, I love what you both bring. You bring this, Pat, and you bring this, David. And I was like, it was really interesting. And then I seen the differences. But we're brothers, we do this work together, but we're coming from total different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And it's the various that we get that such a community involved, because we offer so much, and what you said there with the free flow, we have certain medicine bags. You have yours, I have mine, we have ours together. And in any moment we can change it and switch it up in any moment, which is great. So we don't really have a set list. We tried to have a set list once and we're like, we don't work like this. We were in the moment, what works now, what's alive in the present moment, what's happening in the brother spaces, in their psyche, what's online and what we can bring forward. And I think if I was to sum up our origin story in like 2 phrasings, it was like, why not? And it's only the beginning. And we always said that, and everything we did was like, why not? Why wouldn't we do this? Why not? And just the vision is always expanding and always evolving. And it's only the beginning. Everything we do, it's like it's only the beginning, no matter if it's like what we do or what events or what country we're in or what we're doing. It's like, it's only the beginning. And that's a beginner's mind continuously last 4 years for both of us, which is epic to have, and to keep expanding that way.
I love that way. The wine always reminds me of being in your garden and when we're having coffee and cigars, just talking about loads of stuff. It's like, why not? Why not just do it? Why not? And then we'd sit there and talk for hours without getting that done. The only beginning bit, I love that. And I tell you why I love that it's only the beginning. It's because we always say that when we come to an ending of something and we're like ecstatic, we're smiling, we're laughing, and then we laugh about the fact this is only beginning. No matter how, like, we're 4 or 5 years in now. And every single time we come to an ending of something, we just laugh. It's like, it's only the beginning, man. I love that.
Yeah.
I love how that feeling is continuously there. No matter what it is we do. It could be a small hug, it could be a meet-up, it could be an online thing. And we're just like, yeah, it's only the beginning. And it's literally that. It really is. Even this podcast, it's only the beginning.
Infancy, and I always go into the fact, I think, and I talk for the eye, but I'll talk about MRT. I think we're still in the womb space of the potential of where this is going to go. And I see this type of work being done in the UK, in the US, and in Europe. They're only in the beginning too, and we're only in the beginning. And it's like, what we do, what we offer, what we bring forward is exceptional, because it's all humility. Like, it's only the beginning. We're only sharpening, we're only softening, we're only learning, and it changes. This conversation that we had 4 years ago was different 6 months after that, and it's different 6 months later. And the conversation we're having now is going to be different next week, the week after, which is powerful. And I think the origin story is like exceptional for where it went. Then 4-week blocks, we did like 3 or 4 or 5, I can't remember. And then we transitioned into different things, the hikes, the gatherings. And as I want to talk about more, the current offerings of what we're doing.
Current offerings.
What do we bring forward, Pat? I know we do so much.
What do we bring forward? The biggest thing that jumps out for me right now is the time that we put into this, and what we bring forward is our time. And I was reminded on our last outing over in, it was Wales, for the hike. Snowdon, and I was chatting away to a few lads, and I goes, and this all boils down to our time. And we're a segue into something else, but it boils down to our time that we put forward. And the biggest asset that me and you have is our time. You're not going to be around much as you were over the past 3 or 4 years. I'm not going to be around as much as I was over the past 3 or 4 years. So the time that we have, we put a potency on that time, which then leads into the hikes that we do. They're not just hikes for me and you. They're actually, like, we have to take a lot of time out of our schedule, time, day, to be able to get this hike. So this hike is not just a hike anymore. You bring in the acronym chaos. And the biggest thing that I think when we take it out of, it's just a hike, it's just a retreat, it's just a gathering, when we take it out of that context and we put the potency of it, because we know our time is valuable and we know that we want to get the message right across. We just don't want to bring men into a space. We want men to actually change the dialogue of how they think when they're around other men. We want the mindset to think completely differently when they leave, and not just high five, that was great to get out today. We want these men walking around thinking about how they speak, thinking about how they approach people, thinking about how they see their job, see their partners, see their community, thinking about how they see themselves. So the hike is a hike. It'll always be a hike. But the potency behind it, simply because I look at our time, is really valuable. The that when we get there, we need to really instill what MRT is about to them. So the hikes will be a big offering, and it's not just a hike. A gathering, whether that's for 4 hours up to 6 hours, we're in a private space. They'll be indoors more likely, where we get men into this space and we gather and we go through different modalities, and it's very hard to explain what we do in that space, because if we were to articulate it over these mics and just simply talk about it, the mind has to be open to a certain degree to actually understand, oh, I know what they're on about when they say this, or I know what they're on about when they say that. But the modalities that we bring through in those spaces is what gets men into thinking differently about themselves, about their life, about their children, about their mothers, about their fathers, about their husbands, their wives. Regardless of what it is, the mentality changes within those spaces because of the modalities that we bring through. And because it's a big part of my life, like, when you say modalities, what do you mean? Okay, breath work. There you go. That's one of the many modalities that we bring through. But that's just one small part of it. So modality is a thing, a process, a sitting that we do, a different stage of the day that we do. Modality is just one of the many things that we do in that space. So you have those gatherings. Then you'd have the retreats that we've been on, and this is our third year now doing a retreat. And it took us, 3 years to actually decide to do a retreat, because we knew we weren't ready. We knew we weren't ready and capable of holding that space, because we need to upskill and educate ourselves. When it came to this time, we did it and we learned from that. And we came to the one last year and we learned from that. And we're going into now 2025 in August, the long weekend, bank holiday, 1st to the 4th of August. And we're going into that with so much more education and awareness of how much potency we can bring in and get value for our time as well as the men's time. Look, it's a long weekend. That's Friday to Monday. They have to actually schedule probably a week in advance of how they need to prepare, and a week after on how they're going to integrate and how they're going to get back into society, how they're going to go back and meet their friends, family, job. So there's a big, massive thing about emphasis on time here, simply because it's really valuable. It's really valuable. We could do this off our back on our own, and where it doesn't involve anybody else. It's just a lifestyle, and this is what we do. But when it involves other people, we need to get MRT's message across very, very direct, where there's no fluffing about, because we've done all that. And we're at a stage now where we want men to walk in and realise that this is a possibility for them to really change their life. And the offerings that we have are not just, hike, retreat, gathering, and they're not that. That's just the title. Underneath that, though, is the depth, is the real connection, is the real brotherhood, is the medicine of it. And then just have to remind myself there that we have a WhatsApp group of 135 men in it. And what's beautiful about that, that's just like a little hub, a way for men to connect without actually reaching out to me or you, or without wondering if there's anything going on, or if there is something going on in their life, they can just throw it into the WhatsApp group. So the WhatsApp group for 135 men, even that is potent, and it has to be. It'd be the Wild West if it was just free for all and everything be all getting. Literally, that WhatsApp group is for men to actually think before they text in. Is this actually valuable? And I'm not talking about their own feelings. I'm talking about this is something that I've seen on Instagram. I'm going to share it in the group. This is something that's going on at the moment in the world. I'm going to share it into the group. This is something that takes me away from actually looking within myself, actually take me away from the medicine of brotherhood, actually take me away from just whether it's derogatory or whether it's racist or whether it's something. It's just like, no, I'm not going to throw that in there. I have another 20 odd groups that accept all this type of stuff. When it comes to MRT, I actually have to think. I actually have to be conscious before I open up into that space. And that's what that WhatsApp group creates. And what I love about it is, if anything ever goes in there, and we have guidelines within the group, and for that, it's a no-brainer to have guidelines. So those guidelines, what I love about it, I see the men, and I know you do as well, see the men, they're getting to notice when someone puts in something that shouldn't be in there. And you see the quietness happening. And then it'd be me or you going in there and just deleting it. So it's that potency, even the time that you put into the phone, even the time that you put into the MRT WhatsApp group, it's very potent for us. And the offerings that we have, they're not just offerings. Yeah, they have to have a title and all that, and they have time and date and all that type of stuff. But what we have and what we're offering with MRT is an opportunity for men to literally transform their life. And all they have to do is show up. And there's free events and there's also paid events. And that's just how we have to operate.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, but there's a lot in that. And I think what the commitment we made a couple of years back was to keep it potent, but to keep it regular, because we've been operating now the last 4 years, coming up on 5 maybe, and we have made a commitment about 3 years ago where we're keeping it active to the community, where we do something every 6 weeks, which is like incredible that we parked off in our calendar, set down, and we really highlight every 6 weeks we're going to do something. So every 6 weeks we have to have a hike, either in Ireland or abroad, or a 1 day gathering, 6 to 7 hour workshop, or an expansive experience, or a sweat lodge, whatever it may be. But I know that in my calendar the last 3 years, every 6 weeks we've had something, which is just celebrating the fact that we had the position to be able to do that and offer that to the community and the brothers, that, you know, it's only 6 weeks to the next event. And in the background, there's an operating system happening with agreements in the WhatsApp. There's a container there with over 135 men that's continuously ongoing and flowing. And they're all feeding one another in a good way to show up to the next event in 6 weeks. And so on, the cycle continues. So exactly that. And it was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, you know, we have to give it the name men's work, or it has to be called something, you know what I mean? But it's just like, it's so much more than that. Yeah. Like the gatherings are just so much more than just quote unquote men's work or a hike or a 1 day event. I see this as a movement, you know, and it's conscious movement in a way where we can radicalize men in a spiritual way. You know, the real evolution is a spiritual evolution, and it's about getting men in them spaces and places and containers in mind, body, and spirit to show up in a good way for themselves, community, society. And that's what we've been doing. And the mission is big and the purpose is big. And I know your time is valuable, my time is valuable. But we've always set aside the time for MRT, men rising together. And it's like that ongoing mission is there. And that's where it's about now, is like elevating these brothers to be able to hold that space for themselves, but also within the MRT container. You know, and I see we've talked about this, you know, the leadership program we're bringing through next year. And we've been we've been talking about it for the last year and a half, but I think it's been brewing and it's been nurtured and it's been fed. And I don't want to deliver, and we don't want to deliver a subpar leadership training. So I think the early stages of 2026 is when we're going to really land that. And it's about brothers being able to show up when they can for the hikes to co-lead with me and you. And potentially I won't be there and be co-leading with you, or you won't be there and be co-leading with me and them. And then in the stage where me and you aren't there and they're leading it themselves under the banner of men rising together. So there's acronyms we use, the chaos, and I was gifted that by Sacred Sons, you know, confidentiality, honesty, acceptance, ownership, and sacredness. And that parameters and guidelines we have within the WhatsApp group is exceptional. And we can see the brothers' evolution and we had to keep refining the parameters as brothers sharing a meme. I was like, that meme is just not tasteful. It's not this place for it. We had guidelines, no religion, no political views, etc., etc. Just so brothers can come in and talk about their own mental well-being and can they support another brother in that space. It's funny how we have to keep refining, you know, and it's just like, and new brothers come in, we send them the welcome message. This is the thing, reach the guidelines before you start entering messages. And we just keep refining and deleting messages and then talking to brothers individually, or if it's down to having a phone call, and please don't be on a substance when you text into the group, etc., etc. And it's beautiful to see how we are delivering it in a good way, where it's refining it in a good way and sharpening one another in a good way. Proverbs 27:17. And I always refer back to that, but it's like, it's not just the iron sharpens iron in a physical way, but it's mental, emotional, spiritual. If we can all assist each other in growing in a good way, that's what it's about. And that WhatsApp group is, I drop in because I have to go through, you have to go through to see what's been delivered. But it'll come to a stage where there's other brothers, quote unquote, policing it, but not in a conscious way, where we get brothers to step into their leadership role, not just in with themselves, but within the organisation, within the movement of men rising together. So I'm glad we got to touch on what we do and what we bring forward. But it's a big mission, Pat. You know, we've been on a big mission the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And that time we've carved out for this movement is exceptional. You having a new baby, you getting married, me traveling the world, all the things that go with life. We still gave enough time and energy to let this grow and let this flourish and continue to nurture the brothers' spirits.
And I genuinely feel that that's where it's going next, into leadership programming. And it's not just going to be a 1 weekend job. It's like, it's going to be a devotion. It's going to be a purpose for you. And there's going to be different sections. There's going to be different layers of it. You won't have any man that signs up. You don't like the whole idea, you don't have to be me and Dave, basically, is what I'm trying to say is, what's that mean? You don't have to leave your job and you don't have to devote yourself to the level that me and you are devoting ourselves to. The leadership program is open to any man that feels that they have a calling to bring this forward for them to be able to, whether that's assist in a space, hold a space, create a space, or if you have the level and the capacity and the time for where me and Dave is at, literally see yourself up there right beside us to where this is your life, this is your income, this is a way that you're going to be able to give back in this life. If you feel yourself, that's what you are. That's what the MRT program is about. It's about providing a responsibility, accountability for a man that works 9 to 5, can only get every third weekend off every 2 months, and he wants to be a part of it. Well, then there's a space there. You get brought through, and you'll get brought through the same way every other man gets brought through. So when you do show up on that day, you're fully equipped. You fully acknowledge how this space is going to be held with that, as well as that what unique skills you have, Dave. What unique skills do I have? You don't have to be Paddy or Dave when you're in that space either. That mentorship program, though, and as I said, it's brilliant. And as it's brilliant, it's just like, man, here's more new information. Here's new information. It's coming through, and like we see it. And recently, what happened with me is, I was talking to a man, and I just looked at him and goes, and he was talking about holding space, and he's looking into men's work, and he's looking into get more involved with us just to, again, time. And I looked at him and goes, you have a very unique skill set, like. And he goes, what do you mean? It's like, and I just rounded it off, boom, boom, boom. And it goes, this is what we want. So we don't want men coming in on in a pigeon box, in a square. It's like, you have to be this way. No, we don't want that way. What we'll have is the MRT banner, the umbrella, and we'll all understand that. But then we want men to come in with loads of skill sets. Like, one of the biggest things in this line of work, especially if you're devoted to it and you haven't got an income, and your other income is financial balance, financial income. There's men out there who are accountants, who are business orientated, who can generate money just by sitting on the couch, who have that mindset where it goes, I see money, blah, 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 who are going to be able to bring in a financial balance for any man that's looking to get into this work on a devotional purpose or on a high level where they leave their job and this is what they want to do. There's men out there. We want those men in that space. And you can imagine the financial mind of a man coming into that space with the physical, spiritual, and mental and emotional ability to be able to hold it in. And not look at it as greed, and not look at it as corruption or anything like that. Then you have men who was deep ceremonialist, would be classed as one of them, coming in through. You'd have that. Then you'd have a man who knows the land, who knows nature, who could walk into a field and pick out 5 different fruits and eat this and eat that, who knows the land, who's able to actually live off the land, basically, I should say. You have other men then is in the fitness sector, who knows health, through food, who knows health through the gym, who knows health through education, So you have a whole different array of men, and you don't have to be coming from any sort of background. You don't have to be coming in with the whole idea that because me and you are holding this space and we're in MRT, that you have to level up to our type of skill set or our awareness or our knowledge. Every man coming through will be unique. Every man will be able to bring something different. It could be musicians. Like, it's unbelievable to bring a man through with musicians and being able to provide an MRT space where they're teaching men how to play a musician. The singers, you bring a singer through and he's like, yeah, we have a workshop with MRT. You get to sit and learn how to sing, basically. Do you know that kind of way?
100%, brother. And I've seen this being done in blueprints with different organisations, I don't have the space, capacity or time to go and learn the indigenous flute or whatever it may be, or to be versed in the land as of yet. But if I was able to sit in a container with brothers, leaders side by side, and they're teaching me, I'm teaching them, we learn and grow. We're just creating a community of strong leaders. I've seen organisations have nutritionists, accountants, financial pieces. One organisation has a behavioural scientist. So it's like, wow, how this has been done. And it's like, this can be done, has been done, and it will be done within the MRT framework. So it's like, your medicine is needed. You offer incredible medicine. I know I bring incredible medicine through God, Creator. Thank you. But thank you for the gifts. But there's other brothers out there that just need some sharpening and some softening. Come in, do the leadership program, and deliver your medicine in a good way for the community, for the brothers.
One of the biggest things that I know you've even noticed with me and you was being impeccable with our word and our language. So if you remember when we did in that, think about it and laugh. when we did an MRT podcast, it was live as well, and we did it in the out the back garden.
Yeah.
And like, the biggest thing that I will not be able to not hear that anymore is how much we cursed. So if you listen back to it one of the days, but like it's just going to be like, I can't listen to this anymore. There's too much cursing.
Yeah.
So when we speak, that's one of the biggest ways I've noticed how we've grown is being impeccable with our word and how we come across and actually say things and how we deliver it. And caution would be a massive thing that when I'm in a space, that's all I can hear.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you have a beautiful message behind it, but I cannot stop hearing F this and F that. And it's, yeah, look, that was me. Do you know what I mean? And it's still to this day, I have to catch myself and hold myself, no, don't. And if I do say a course, I retract back on it and then I'll try to clean it up. Or if I do say something that comes across wrong, I know it straight away. It's nothing got to do with any other person or how they say it. I hear it. I was like, no, actually that sounded brilliant. I'm going to retract that and I'm going to say it again. And I have no problem doing that. But I see that when I'm in, that's one of the spaces and one of the places that would be a big challenge for a lot of men to come into the space and to be able to present themselves and to speak, let's say, quote unquote, your office voice. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously when you're around different environments and different spaces, different people, you'll speak differently and it'll just come across differently. But when you're in these spaces and you're in a container where you're holding men sacredly, everything is sacred. From how you're holding yourself to how you're speaking, to how you dress, to how you walk, to how you listen. So the biggest thing that I feel, it's mad, as small as it is, it's massive when you're in a space. So yes, there's someone just talking and you hear the language, F this and F that. But when you're so tuned into the whole idea of being impeccable with your word, that's all you can hear.
Yeah.
And it does take it away.
It definitely does take away the message, and I would be guilty of a lot of profanity previously, but I don't swear at all now, which is great, and no blasphemy. I'm grateful, and this has been reiterated to me numerous times by numerous people from my past. You know, when I was, without getting too much of my story, when I was taking so much drugs, I couldn't even string a sentence together. Like literally, I was stopping and mumbling and fumbling, and literally couldn't string a sentence together. My brain was literally potentially brain damaged at that stage with so much substance in it. And the brothers of mine now that I would still see the odd time would say, you know, how did you end up learning how to speak? I was like, the longer I get sober, the more I do this work, the more I speak with refinement. And it's like, but looking back in certain videos when I started this journey, I couldn't really speak. You know, I literally couldn't speak. All the substance, etc., and all the profanity was just like an easier way of speaking for me. It was a lazy way of speaking, to be honest. It was just ingrained into me, and we are very impeccable with our word now, which is great. And we always bring that into the space. Everything is sacred. Everything is sacred. Let's talk about success stories, Pat. Between the work you do, the work I do, and the work we do with MRT. You know, I'm sure you have numerous stories to pull upon for brothers and sisters you've worked with along the way and worked with in the work you're doing and the work we do with MRT that we can, without names obviously, we're just going to highlight that.
Success stories. So one thing of, again, through the evolution of doing this work, one thing what's come to my attention is basically this. I can't define something as successful. I can't for somebody else. I know it's successful for me. So success stories. I see a lot of joy and happiness coming through when I look at men doing this work. I see something in a man's eyes that I didn't see when they first arrived. I see success in a man when he's able to get his life together, and whether that's his job, whether that's him getting his health in order, whether that's him. And I'll say this with the reality that it is, whether that's him taking acknowledgement that they have addiction or coming clean straight off it. They're the success stories for me. For men to be able to hold space for each other. For a man to be able to be in a room full of strangers, to open up, to realise that these are his new mates, these are his new buddies, these are his new pals that he's going to be contacting. And over time, they're the only ones that he's going to be contacting. That they're the success stories for me when I see this with this work. And that's why I can't define it. Success is different for everybody else, but what I see when I see it in another man when they do this work is that I love to see what you're doing, David, the success that you're doing, and how to, and yeah, you've put a map there, you can say, you can pinpoint your locations, right, of where you went. But the success is what you actually want to do. And the joy in it, the happiness in it that it brings you. And that's spreading this message, your devotion to it. And you have the ability to be able to do that. That's your success story. Not the, I went here, I went there, I was with this people, and we did that people. That's just the outcome of you actually being successful in what you do. So that's another reason why I don't define it. Another one for men to be able to actually realize that the home that they live in is just not the home that they're meant to be living in anymore. And as hard as it may be, and as much as they have to go through the fire to get to the other side of it, they go through it. But to see a man who's living in a house where this is not him for him anymore, whether that's with another man or with his another woman or with his husband or with his wife, to see him realise that in a space, and then whether that's 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the line, they're on the other side of it, and they're like, if I didn't do that, I was literally just death by 1,000 needles I was getting, and eventually then I just would have burnt out and living a life of regret. So there's a lot of success stories, but the biggest one I think is when men step into that space, regardless of what the outcome is, because that is the hardest thing for. I genuinely believe that's the hardest thing for any man to do. The sense of shame, the sense of unworthiness, the sense of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm homeless, I'm broke, I can't be around those type of people. And then obviously the upbringing and how men's mental health and wellness and mindset is. If your upbringing is like, that's the last thing you do, that's the last place you go, and that's the last thing you speak of, well then men's work is just alien to you. So when I see men walking into those spaces, that's like the biggest success story, because a man may not say anything in that space, he may not do anything, he may not have big revelations, but just because he was there, he felt a massive shift and a massive part of it, and a massive welcoming. Every man is welcome, and that for me is the biggest one, because it's like, if you were to ask me what's the hardest thing about doing this work, it's getting men over the line. It's literally getting men into that space. It's literally that old saying, brother ever stone. Yeah, and that'd be the biggest success story for me.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and there's so much in that, Pat. And it's like, there's a few highlights that I can hone in on been doing this work. And exactly that, I can't speak on what success is. I think it's very individualistic, you know. And thank you for the reiteration and reminder of the work I'm doing and the place I get to be and the work I've done on myself. And then I look at you, Pat, you know, and for me, like, I look at success, you know, beautiful wife, beautiful children, beautiful home, building a community. And I really want to hone in on what you have done outside of MRT. And having a community gathering once a month for the last 5 years is nothing short of, quote unquote, a miracle, quote unquote, God's work. You know, to have a place and a space where brothers and sisters and families and kids can go once a month, to know that, yes, MRT happens every 6 weeks, but every 4 weeks, potentially 5 sometimes, depending, there's a full moon gathering, you know, and this is an MRT kind of conversation, but I want to talk about what you're doing. That's, for me, is success. And it's a free event. It's every month, and it's a place where people know, right, I can reset, recharge, recalibrate, and recommit to the community that's involved in this work every 4 weeks. That's success. And you know, that for me, and like, not that I'm saying it's successful for you, but successful in what you're creating, a community and a movement, and it's really exceptional. And as I said, success is very individualistic, and some of the things I see in MRT and have seen. So I want to celebrate you first on that piece, but I'm really celebrating that. The wife, the kids, the family, and the community. It's powerful. And success I've seen in MRT is, you know, I think we had an event, and I always go back to this reminder. There's two men sitting beside each other. One had 62 successful businesses, like multi-millionaire probably. Came to one of our second gatherings. And the brother sitting beside him was in emergency accommodation and was 4 weeks sober. And they were paired up together to talk and discuss their lives. And they had very similar backgrounds, maybe the absent father, whatever it may be. And there's no real difference. The societal differences are obviously easy to see with money and no money, sober, not sober. But really, it was just two men sitting beside each other. That's all it was. And that for me is its success. Is like I believe the work we do is bridging the gap between societal conditioning or class systems, etc., etc. It's like this work is available for everybody. I think on one of our hikes, we had an 8-year-old boy, and on another hike, we had an 8-year-old man. It's like this is the range we're working with, 8 to 80, if not younger, if possible. And the success then, another one was, for me, I just took great success in looking at that little boy in Slieve, Donard last year, him and his father, and he brought his son to hike up the highest peak in Ulster. And then that little boy, and we slowed down for him. We waited and we slowed and we went again. And that little boy's achievement of reaching his highest physical peak in his province, it's like mind-blowing for me. That was not what I had in my upbringing, without going into the violin story. But it's like that little boy, 12 years old, gets to achieve that with his father on a mountaintop. It's like, that's a success. That's a core memory he'll have, surrounded with 30 other conscious men there to support him. You brought your son on hikes too, which is epic that we get to do this work. And then this other success for me is the men that have been with us from day one are still with us. They're still showing up to the gatherings. They see the medicine in it. They show up as a different man each time, and then they get to promote it. And not that they're promoting MRT, but they're promoting this work. Brotherhood without banners. We just happen to call it men rising together. And in the name itself, it's not like Paddy and Dave rising together. It's like, no, men. If you're a man, you can rise together with us as a community. That's success. As you ripple out, as we expand, as you evolve on this continent and the next continent and every continent, is what we're doing. So the success for me is the brothers that keep showing up and doing the work. And I think we've discussed this many times, numerous times over. It's like to get into the fact and solidifying the fact that it never ends. The work never ends. My internal work never ends. Your internal work never ends. And when you get that message and understand that, it's a lifetime's work, It's a lifetime's work for me. And I know I'm not speaking for you, but it's forever, and the devotion we have in this is forever, which is sensational. That's success, to know that there's no end point. There's no like, oh, I got here and it's done. It's like, no, that's never going to happen. It's like, it's only the beginning. So that's success for me, is acknowledging the fact that we're in this for this work forever, and to see men acknowledging that and knowing that going to a one-day event is not quote unquote men's work. It's like, it's forever. It's every 6 weeks. It's every day, to be honest. When you wake up, it's a new day. It's a fresh start, and it's day one. Not one day, it's day one. How you operate and how you navigate and how you expand, evolve and communicate in this world daily is the work. And we just have the gentle, subtle reminders every 6 weeks. It's like, this is how you constantly relate, how you're showing up, etc., physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially and relationally. How are you delivering yourself to the world? How is the world receiving you? And can you be received better? And what does it take? Which fire is blazing and which fire needs attention? And that's what I think success is for me. And having brothers that see the vision, see the purpose of this work, and then are committed to it in the same way we are, by showing up and being at the events. I know it's a long-winded success, but that for me is like, the message is landing, message is landing, and it's finally taking time. Irish men are not susceptible to psychoanalysis, running the barriers and the blocks and the I'm fine, I'm good. If I have to hear I'm fine, I'm good again a million times over. Are you really, how are you? What a loaded question.
I was literally thinking that.
It's so much if you ask about it. How are you?
How are you doing? How long do you have?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you have 15, 20 minutes? Probably an hour.
I want the long answer, and I ask someone, how are you? And they tell me, so that's what I wanted to hear. I'm good, I'm fine. Are you really good and fine? I don't think so. I'm not just trying to dig. I can be there to support you, you know what I mean? When someone asks me how I am, and if I have space and time, if they have the space or capacity to hold it, I'll share where I'm at, because I would believe I'm doing a disservice to the brother in front of me if I didn't share what's alive for me, If I was just say, yeah, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm busy, that's really just bypassing, mentally, emotionally, spiritually bypassing what's really alive. How are you? What a loaded question with 3 words. Wow. How deep can you go on that,
Well, yeah, it was at me godson's confirmation, and then I was actually doing a podcast, and that question, how are you doing? It's like, if you ask me how am I doing, like, I hope you're sitting down. If you ask me, because I'm here all day talking about how I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But when I also know when someone does ask me, they haven't got the capacity to hold that space. So I do the whole, Grant, just tipping away. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But when I say, how you doing? I was like, I had to take a breath for this one. See where I'm at. Dave's at the ask me how am I doing? And I know he has the space. So that's a loudest word. And how many men literally ask themselves that every day, ask another man, or they get asked that, how are you getting on? Why are you up there?
Yeah.
Grand, nothing's going on. World War III going up there.
Yeah.
Carnage going on up there. And all it takes is a man to come into that space, and he doesn't even have to be asked, how are you doing? it says it on his face, like, do you know what I mean? And we see it a mile away, and all it takes is one or two little things, and then you just see it coming through, like, it loud a question. And it's funny who brought that up, like, don't ask me that if you haven't got at least 15 minutes to spare, like, just, yeah.
It's men won't get the chink in their armour, you know, like, just say, good, fine, and get on with it.
Yeah.
What I see there is, like, there's a decade there, or 2 decades behind that question, and then there's another 3 decades ahead if they don't actually answer the question. And it's like, give me a raw, unfiltered honesty, you know? Work's not going well? Great. Do you want to change your job? What can you do? Can you reduce your hours? Okay, your relationship's not working. When was the last time you sat down with your partner? You haven't spent time with your kids? Okay, what's the structures in place so you can visit your kids? You know, finances aren't good. Okay, what are you spending the money on? You know, like, all the pieces that behind that, 3 words. How are you?
Nobody's going to be asking us that question.
Grilled.
Don't ask me. But overall, the success of MRT, I feel definitely I see you sitting into your role as a leader, a mentor, a man who's living this work devotionally, to be able to bring it back to Ireland, and also celebrating you to do what you were doing outside of the waters, outside of the land of Ireland, and bring it back to this country. It's breaking that barrier. It's breaking that chain. It's breaking that one way of doing things. The diverseness, and not only that, the connections that you have to be able to bring back into this land. So celebrating that. So that's a success story. Success story. I think MRT is in its infancy, but it's also a success story for us to be able to sit down here to have this podcast, for us to be able to reflect on how much we've grown individually and together, and also the acceptance that, like, this is it now. We are gonna have to continuously work. We are gonna have to continuously soften men. We are gonna have to try and get them into that space to really make sure, like, this is where it's good to be at. You know what I mean? And it's just little subtle reminders of how we do it. But it's gonna be this is gonna be the success stories when we see men holding that space. When we're stepping back, we have to feet up for a day or two. And we look in and we just see, like, there's a space now in North Dublin, there's a space South Dublin, there's a space now in Meath, there's a space in Kildare, there's a space up north, there's a space over in the west. It's when it's that MRT banner, and men are coming through really strongly and passionately and with a purpose, and it will change that. And I think the success story with MRT is where we're at now, how we're able to speak of that so confidently, so boldly. Yeah, so that's for me, looking at that success story.
Yeah, and you're right there. And we are, I believe, completely biased, you know. We are definitely the most active men's work facilitation, gathering, organisation movement in Ireland.
Yeah.
And that's not to put anyone else down. It's like, we're creating what we're doing and inviting everyone else in. But definitely the most active.
But that's what I meant when I said not just doing one thing. So when it comes to activity, to be as active as we are, and it's not just hikes and meetups and stuff like that. It's like we're adding layers to everything. We're going to continuously add layers. We're going to continuously expand, and we're not looking for the same thing over and over again. We'll have them as tools when we've expanded so much. The big thing that we used to do 2 years ago will just be a simple tool.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It'd be the level 1 basic stuff, and that's just on a business scale type of thing. Nothing got to do with what level 1 is important to level 2 or not. Nothing got to do with that. It's just on a business scale, looking at things. We are expanding, and speaking of expanding, the 4 highest provinces in Ireland last year we hiked. Now we're on the 3 highest in Scotland, England, and Wales. So, and then we're going to Europe. It's just like with these hikes, just with the hikes alone, like. So with the expansiveness is always going to continue. Beautiful that you have those connections outside of Ireland, because that's who we will be connecting to. MRT will be literally connecting to the biggest men's organisations in England, in Europe, in the world. So that's what we're doing. And when we say we're the most active, that's what we're on about. The expansiveness of where we're going. And it's not just a one and done. You're going to do a men's workshop and that's it. No, you're going to go on a journey now with MRT. And if you feel like you want to be a facilitator, that's it now. Like, once you sign up, that's it.
Yeah, and the evolution, I think, Pat, from where we started as a 4-week block on the beach to doing hikes in Ireland, to hiking the 4 highest peaks in Ireland, to doing the 3 highest peaks this year in the UK, and then expanding into Europe with Kilimanjaro potentially. And I'm seeing Everest Base Camp.
Yeah,
That's just the physical pillar is like, wow, we are in that physical pillar, excelling. And then the mental, the work we're doing and our own study behind the scenes, the spiritual, I know we're deeply devoted to the Creator. So the prayer is massive in the spiritual aspect and our alignment to God. Thank you, Creator. And then the emotional, the emotional I want to touch on, because as brothers, we have laughed together. We have cried together. We have literally had physical combat against each other. There's every realm we've touched on, and it's that brotherhood we created. It's like the seed and the genesis of our friendship, and showing what brotherhood really looks like and that evolution of that, and expanding into every other arena is showing that it's a possibility that if this seed of brotherhood can be created in that way, and a conscious, connected, liberated, releasing the chains and manacles of previous conditioning in that way, can be expanded into a community, into MRT, into society. That's what it's about. That's success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're on that path. We're doing it, and we're going to continue doing it, and we're going to bring a whole load of men with us. And it's that movement that is going to change society, and that's going to be another success story. There's not just one success story. There was a multitude of them, and they come in the most smallest form, where a man couldn't get up at 6 a.m, and now he's able to get up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
To a man where he's starting his business at 6 a.m. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And then I want to segue into the future vision, and I think we and you have discussed this on an Instagram live last year with another brother, Declan Hammond, and it was last year, the year before, and we discussed about the vision. And the vision I see for men's work and men rise together, as you touched on a moment ago, is that MRT can be operating in every province, in every town. And I see this work being done in the US, that men's circles are every week, men's gatherings every week, like going to the gym, like going to mass, 3-hour work, 3-hour gathering or 2-hour gathering, whatever it is. I would like to see that happening once a week in Ireland, in every county. Once a week in Dublin would be great, and then once a week in Meath, once a week in Donegal, etc., etc. The vision of this I see is making it accessible and regular under the guidelines and parameters that they're actually benefiting from the work they're doing. Because I believe this work is powerful when delivered in the right way. And when delivered in a way where it's just a free-for-all, it loses the potency and it loses what this work is about. And I'm not shunning men's circles or men's gatherings, but I believe when men meet up and we can talk, it's great, stepping stone. When there's a parameters, when there's a pulse check on it, and when there's potency on it, and when it's being delivered in a way where, what are we doing here? What's the point of meeting up once a week to talk about the neighbour leaving the bins out on the wrong day, or your wife not doing, etc., etc., and just getting into the problem things? Where can we evolve in these spaces? And the vision for me is having a hymn sheet or a seal of approval, or that men's containers meet up and go, okay, this is the structure, or this is what we're going to do, or this is what we're elevating, rather than getting caught in the loose talk and the pointless meetings of what are we doing. So the vision is, for me and for men's work, is having this delivered in a good way, off a hymn sheet or off a structured sheet of values, ethics, morals, vision, to see where this can evolve. And that's, I see the big vision of what MRT can bring through the leadership program, and potentially, quote unquote, infiltrate every town, county of this land.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. And what jumped out at me there was time. We can have a meeting every week, but where's the time going into? Where's the value in that? If you're just showing up and you're just cutting the cloth and you're just having the chats and you're just saying, yeah, it's great, that's all well and good, but you have to leave that space. Are you taking anything from it? What happens when you walk through your door? Are you in the feeling of being in that space? Or are you in the feeling of reminder, I don't want to be in this space. I don't want to see who's behind this door. I don't want to go to that shop. I don't want to do this. But I love when I go to this space with men, because I get to switch off from all of that. But yeah, don't live there. That's a reality for an hour or two. Outside of that is the reality you have to live. So when we're talking about potency, when we're talking about a hymn sheet, it's for that. It's so what happens in that space, you can take it from that space and then you can live it outside of that space. So that space is there for you to recharge, to nurture, to water the plants, let's say. And you go back there and you meet up with these men, and it's like everybody rocking up at a dock, a shipping yard, like rock up at the dock, the load the ship up, and then they head off sailing. Everybody rocks up into that space. We all load up on each other's energy, each other's fire, each other's passion. We support, we hold each other, we celebrate. Grand. Now I'm ready to go back out into that world. Now I'm ready to actually integrate what I got from there. A brother spoke about how he got fit. I actually feel like I need to get fit. He spoke about what he did, his routine each morning. Boom, I'm going to start implementing that. I'm going to have an accountability brother. That's who I'm going to be checking in with. So that's the potency that when we are bringing MRT in to each county, to each town, to each family, to each man, that's the potency we want. We want men to go in there and literally change their lives, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. So when they are walking through that front door, they're able to take a deep breath and realise I have work to do. When they are sitting in front of someone, whether it's a man or woman, child, they're able to listen and not be off on a tangent in their own head or bombarded in what they want to say. When you are going to your job, you're actually realising, I want to be here, or I'm going to make changes when I'm going to be leaving this job soon enough. So we want that potency where what they see in the men's circle is support, full growth, accountability, action. So when they come out of that space, so they're not just going off, they're not just going to these spaces to switch off from what's going on in their life. They're going to these spaces to actually come from it and change their life. So that's a massive vision, and I love that vision. I love the vision of how simple we are as well. Getting men into that space and seeing them actually breathe for the first time, to actually connect with another brother on a sober level, on a level of like, all right, I thought I was the only one, and I was like, man, there's loads of brothers like this with me. So the vision of being able to get men into that space and just be able to make them realise that's a massive vision for us. Another vision would be, and I say this with the full backing of God. The financial backing that MRT needs is massive. And the reason why I say that is because me and Dave is going to be doing this regardless if we have it or not. And we laugh about that. If there's any investors out there, you're looking at a profit 100% every single time. This is in its infancy. This is like the internet when it first started. All you need to do is invest. Do you know what? We'll get a portfolio and we show the turnaround that these men's organisations have in Europe, have in the world. If you want to invest in MRT, you are going to get a proper profit from it. You need to see the bigger picture, that it's not just two men holding the space and that's where the finances are going and stuff like that. This is literally to be able to cultivate a community where they show up in a hub, in a building, on a land, that's going to be generating profit for you and your investment. You'll always have that. But the bigger picture will be society's investment. It's not just you making a profit off it. It's actually you investing back into society, where they have children, nieces, nephews. What world are they living in? What communities are they going to? Where can they get support when they're a young teenager, a young adult, a man, a family man, coming off drugs, coming off drink, men who are sexually abused, men who are mentally abused, men who are coming from areas in Dublin, in Ireland, that they just haven't got a chance. Where you're investing into MRT, which is going to create a place, create a community, create a support network through your investment. So I say that to every single investor in Ireland, in England, in Europe, that you are going to generate your profit and whatever what you want back off at 100%. But the investment that you're going to be putting into is into this land, is into the future generations, is into not just MRT, me and Dave. It's into men and women who haven't got a chance. It's into men and women who want to carry this message as a purposeful, meaningful life. To where we are able to stop and look and evaluate ourselves, where we are able to say, do you know what, this is not serving me anymore, and I have a full support network that's going to carry me through that. Will I make that decision to say, I'm going to end my job today and I'm going to find a new one. But in between the ending it and finding a new one, you're going to be fully supported. It's a massive investment. It's a financial investment. It's a no-brainer. It really is, when I say this, it really is like the internet when it first started. If you invested in the internet when it first started, you'd be a multi-millionaire. If you invested into AI the way it's starting now, you're going to be a multi-millionaire down the line. If you invest in men's work, MRT, what we're doing for future generations, you will be a multi-millionaire of it. I 100% know that because of the infancy from this space. Myself and Dave are going to always do this regardless if we have financial backing or not. And we laugh at how much financial backing we need, and we're still able to do it out of our own pocket. So we love that, and this is why it's so much. This is how you know you're getting the truth from me and Dave, because we're going to do this regardless. But I'm putting that out there as a future vision, that the investors are going to see this and say, yeah, that's exactly multi-corporate businesses. I don't know how many men are in your job or how many men work for you, but if you have a strong man coming in through your front door, you're going to have a much more productive man a turnover. Think of the stress that men go under, that they have to deliver at home before they arrive up in the job. And then think of the stress that gets put onto them from the job that they have to go home and then bring home. If you have a balance between the two, you're just going to have a man coming in there smashing it every single time. Whereas a gym instructor, salesman, mechanic, counselor, the amount of counsellors that actually come to MRT that need counselling because of their job it's just incredible. So you in multi-corporate businesses, you are going to have men that are going to hold up the space. Look at me and Dave. We see men coming through MRT who are doing the work. So we know we can invest in those men. We know we can ask those men and give them responsibility to hold a space for MRT to bring through. The exact same thing is going to happen in any sort of business where you see a man coming through who's holding himself every single day. You're going to say, you know what? Do you ever think of going for senior management? Do you ever think of going for CEO? Do you ever think of going up-leveling or upskilling in the job? We're able to have a more responsible role because you see that man holding himself accountable every single day. So for the investors, for the business corporates out there, invest in this work, invest in what we're doing. You literally, you need it is for me, and anyway, I look at it like this: the balance of society is within men who are healthy, strong, happy, pure, righteous, who are men who are able to actually hold it down and be accountable and be responsible for themselves. So if you're listening, get the investment in it. And I'm telling you now, sit with us, sit with me and Dave. Come to one of our workshops, come to a weekend with us. Off us, we'll happily pay for you. And just see what you see, feel what you feel, and then we can have a chat after that. I'd rather you experience it rather than sit down with notes, and we can do all that after. But come to a workshop, come to a meetup, come to a hike, and just see what's the potential that's in this work. It is massive. It literally is the AI starting, the internet starting. End of.
Yeah, but I'm glad you touched on that because, you know, we're both physically, mentally, emotionally and financially invested in this, and its ups and downs being quote-unquote self-employed, quote-unquote entrepreneur, quote-unquote doing this work. So the financial backing would be fantastic if anyone wants to invest. An influx of finances would be fantastic because, you know, we go up and down. We've invested into this, you know, we are sometimes very rarely we're up. Probably for a day or two to book the next event.
Get the violin out.
Yeah, it's true, you know. What I see is brothers leaving this continent, leaving this country to go to another country. Maybe have never been on a flight or a ferry or have never hiked a mountain, and we're able to bring them through that piece, and not just that. It's the connection pieces behind that, it's the breadth behind that, it's everything behind that. They're getting to experience these things that they would have never previously got to experience. And you know, breaking even for me is just even in the mine is that currently with other events, it's like I see the longevity. I see the impact this is having. I've seen the impact that does have in different countries, and I see where we're at. So it's like a lifelong investment for me. It's like my whole devotion is to this work. It's like, yes, we can be up, we can be down. I'm currently down, but seeing the light come back on these brothers' eyes of reaching the highest peak, highest mountain, or having that conversation they never got to have in front of anyone, or expressing openly and being witnessed in something you'd never shared before in public. It's like that for me is reward I could never put a price on. You know, it's invaluable to see men stepping into their truth, stepping into their potential, coming into alignment. It's like, wow, there's not a price you can put on that. But if we had a hub, it'd be great that we can have that. Someone buy a building for us where you can put it, or give us a building, be great. But I see it, you know, I really, really do see it. And that's behind the scenes, you know. Me and Pat, we meet every Wednesday. We talk business. We talk about our next event, what it's going to be, how it's going to look, logistical pieces of like booking the flights, booking the ferry, booking the photographer, booking the venue, getting a bus to collect the brothers, chefs, all the pieces, the logistical pieces behind it. And people are like, did you organise this? Yeah. I was like, there's a lot of planning goes into it. There's like a lot of phone calls, a lot of calls to different people, different places, different time zones, etc. It's like, how is this being orchestrated? How is this being done? It's not just, oh, we're going to rock up to Scotland or we're going to rock up to Wales. It's like, yeah, when you arrive, what's that look like? Is there food ready for us? Is there a bus waiting for us? Is the accommodation, what time can we check in at? What time can the bus collect us the next day to bring us to the mountain? Weather conditions, all of it, you know, there's a lot in it. And it's powerful that we get to do this work and work side by side doing this work. So
I think what makes it really easier is when we have those calls, and they're very important. And we really did realise how important they were and how needed they were when we wouldn't be talking about business for nearly 3 or 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And there's like, and there's like, okay, let's try cram everything in within this hour. I was like, no, at least once a week. And then to even see that, like, even that once a week, we have to schedule that, because if we don't schedule it, something's coming up and we won't be able to. So it's important for us to be able to do that. Just to schedule the call, to have a call about all the stuff we have to schedule is scheduled. So we need this, and as on a business structure, that's massive. So behind the scenes, a lot happens between me and Dave, and we actually have a business WhatsApp group to our personal, so we don't share any personal stories or nothing in the business. It's all business, it's all MRT, and it has to be like that, because I'll share something in the business. I say, for instance, before we had that, something business would come up, and then a lot of personal stuff underneath it. I was like, oh, what about that? Where's that business thing gone? Boom. Yeah. So when I see something coming up in the business WhatsApp, I know I have to action on it. When I see something in the personal business, I'll get back to it. You know what I mean? It's one of them ones, like, grand. So the behind the scenes with MRT, and this is what's going to be beautiful for a lot of men that's coming into the space with us and working with us, is that when they see this, they'll see the bigger picture in it. They'll see the responsibility in it. They'll see the accountability in it. Where they're able to bring that home. We're able to see, okay, where am I not organised in my own life? Behind the scenes shows a lot of the stuff we don't show on anything. If you could have a camera around the two, me and Dave, when we're doing this, it'd probably make great content, but it's great content that's real, like snap reels, not sitting there for an hour listening to us talking about, did you make that phone call, take that responsibility next week, accountability, what are we doing, action next, action, did we get that done? Yeah, is that page? Yeah, that'd be brilliant. But the actual, like, conversation, yeah, great content, but we haven't got that, so nobody sees behind the scenes at all. And it's constant. It's also on the mind as well. It's like, oh, I haven't done that, I had to make that phone call. A lot of work happens behind the MRT, which again, I know what my skill set is behind the MRT regarding the technical side of it. Yeah, I see your skill set behind the MRT regarding actioning, ringing people, getting phone calls done, getting the connections made. I see that happening massively. Booking forms, having a booking form, man. You have to sit in that laptop and you have to get write it all out. And loads of stuff has to get behind that, and then connecting this and making sure we have rooms booked, enough rooms booked. Look how many rooms we have to go to try and get Scotland, like.
I know.
Yeah. So it's loads of stuff
Somewhere that
behind the
sleeps
scenes.
20 men.
Yes. So and then I'm thinking, how many men are out there who would have a skill set like that? Who would love to be able to do all the admin?
Yeah.
Who would love to be able to get on the laptop and organise an event and blah, 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 and put in the value, put in the time. There's loads of men out there with that skill set who would love to do that. And shout out to Emily, who actually is doing our content at the moment.
Yeah. And Cian, who's doing our media.
And Cian as well, yeah. Cian is a master when it comes to that space, the content behind that. We have to organise this though.
We have 3 different WhatsApp groups. We have a business WhatsApp group, we have a socials WhatsApp group, and we have a media WhatsApp group.
Media WhatsApp group. But this is the expansiveness as we put ourselves forward. That's what's going to continuously happen. The expansiveness.
And I reiterate this, and I think you've shared it before. I didn't get into this work to make money. I actually get into this work to help men, and that's what we're doing. Yeah. And now the business acumen has to come through of, like, the scheduling meetings, the emails, the getting back to people, the media, the videography, the camera work, the socials, the tracking of, like, when scheduled posts go up, etc. No idea. I'm not in it for this. And even the podcast we're doing now, all this stuff needs to be a necessary, quote unquote, evil, not evil, take that word out, a necessary output to get this work accessible. I'm into this work because I'm a facilitator. You know, I do the work. We're facilitators. Yeah. And what's this taken away from where we're doing all this admin? There's some brother or sister out there that has much better skill set than I could ever imagine or ever want to go into. We need you on the team. Yes. We need someone with us that can help and assist and guide us to be able to do this work. That's your niche. It's your forte. It's where you thrive and expand and evolve and that's what you love. So if you hear this and you want to get involved and you want to do men's work and you want to get involved in that way, and there's no, like, hierarchy. Every single part of this organisation and every organisation I worked with, the person that changes the bins, the person that cleans the toilets, the person that serves the food, the person that facilitates processes, the person that does breath work, the person that facilitates the cow, every single person, every strand is just as important as the next.
Absolutely.
Just because if there wasn't someone cleaning the bins, then there's dirty bins. If the toilets aren't clean, it's like taking away the person's resolve and well-being because they're not going to clean space. If they're not getting nutritious food, they can't show up to the breath work fully nourished or be out throughout the weekend fully nourished. So every single cog and part is just as important as the next. But certain cogs and parts that I'm yet to evolve in and don't want to evolve in because it takes away my creative edge on what I'm here to do.
Yeah, and 100%. I hear you on that one. And that's where the expansiveness of MRT is going, where we're going to need more people coming in. And that's why where 2026 the facilitator training is. they'll get to experience all that. They get to experience why a man is needed for the analytical. A man is needed for that. But you know what? I just love giving a dig out. I just love being it, like you said, whether that's cutting the grass, chopping the wood, carrying the water, cleaning the toilets, regardless, I just love to be involved. I want to be in part of that. Or there's another man saying, you know what, lads, I want to know how to hold that space safely, deeply. I want to know how to see when I want the cues of knowing that man's about to go through a process. I want to know. And then you bring those men through as well. So the expansiveness of what's happening with MRT brings a lot behind the scenes that nobody sees. And me and you were doing it off. Like you said, you don't want to get in for money, but I know one thing, even Jesus had an accountant. So we need an accountant. And when it comes to money, like, it's beautiful it is, because we've done it without any money and we're still doing it without any money. So
God is with us, God is with us. Completely, God is with us to help us and guide us and getting things booked and paid for just on time.
Absolutely.
But I want to actually go back to what you said there, and it's beautiful that we have that vision and where it's going. What you touched on there about chopping wood and carrying water, and we never really got into this with the offering. And I think what we're doing, and it's incredible what we're actually bringing forward, is that we have 135 men in a WhatsApp container, but we have 135 men that are fit, able-bodied men that now can currently give back to community,
Oh, yes.
And what we're doing by bringing these brothers with us on this journey is we're now offering, if we can, a battalion of men that could potentially show up and help and assist and guide you on your land. I know there's a thing in Ireland they call a mehel, where they go and help and support and build and cut grass and dig ditches, etc. But we've already committed to two gatherings of this, and we have an event on the 22nd of June. We rock up to this venue where we were so kindly let use this land for the Indigenous Sweat Lodge, the Native American Sweat Lodge by Inaugural. We're going to go back to this land and we're going to chop wood, we're going to carry water, we're going to do work on the land as a group of MRT men, volunteering work, give back to community. Yeah. And then we have another gathering in July where a sister of mine, her partner, 74, an elderly kind of man, he needs a riverbank kind of dug out and shaped because the water is kind of nearly flowing to his house. So he needs it redirected. And she came to me and asked me, do you do any community work? I said, yes, we actually do. So now we have the opportunity to potentially bring 10, 15, 20 men, picks, axes, shovels, etc., to chop the wood, to carry the water. And, I'm sure everyone listening to this knows, but like before enlightenment, you chop the wood, you carry the water. After enlightenment, you chop the wood, you carry the water. And we have a battalion of men that we can bring to these communities to help and assist. So if anyone here in Ireland can provide us a nutritious meal maybe, and we will rock up. Nothing is actually required, to be honest. But if you want us to go, and if we can help and support you, and rocking up with 15, 20 men that want to come and help you in your land or in your community, and we can do something for you, reach out to us, because what this society needs, and you touching this, is strong, powerful, righteous men that can be of support to community, and not for a return, but to show up in a way where I'm fit, I'm strong, I'm able. I can dig that ditch for you. Yeah. I can clear that land for you. I can chop that wood for you. I can carry that water for you. I can do that heavy lifting, because we're now celebrating, and we were doing this MRT, celebrating our elders in our community and bringing the elders forward to really highlight that this brother, one of the brothers in our last event, was 80. Is he 80? Mm-hmm. And we're now bringing him back as an elder. This man has 50 years experience in me that I'll never have. And he's be able to share about his life, maybe bankruptcy, divorce, the trials and tribulations of upbringing children in this current economic climate. And he's now able to share that. So we're celebrating this elder. We're bringing him forward and bringing him in as like a core pillar and piece in our community, which is really incredible. I think what we're doing is elevating that elder to be seen, heard and witnessed. So 2 parts, celebrating our elders, assisting our elders, and the third part actually is coming back into community and being of assistance and support, which MRT is coming through strong with.
Definitely. And just on that, regarding coming into the communities and assisting with people's lands that need, as I said, there's the elderly man, he can't tend to his land anymore. Do you know what I mean? And he's not able to. So you get a well-bodied, able men to do it. There's and the other land, Geraldine and Keelan, their land, that land is just, it's so diverse and growing that they can't maintain it themselves because they're so busy. So as an exchange and as a thank you offering, we're going to go up there and give as much dig out as we can. And it's not just a once-off thing. It's like, when do you need us? You need to come back in 2 months, 3 months. We'll just do it. That's the offering. But what does that do for each man that comes up? It gets their hands dirty. It just came to me, it gets their hands dirty and their mind clear. Or their mind clean. Hands dirty, mind clean. It means it gives them a purpose. It gives them a job role. It gives them accountability, responsibility to be able to go onto that land. I don't know about I know me, I love getting my hands dirty, whether that's with a chainsaw, whether that's with a handsaw, whether that's with a hammer, whether that's with a lump hammer, regardless whether it's a shovel, a spade. When I'm in nature and I'm digging, chopping, carrying, cutting, I don't know, my body feels alive. And I think it is that. I think it's because the mind feels like it's at to being structured in a way where it's doing something purposeful. And then you feel like you have to put in a hard day's labour in with good lads around you, good men around you, good hearty men who are doing the same work as you. There's no hierarchy, not getting told what to do. You can leave whenever you want. No one's there telling you to show up at this time, that time, or anything like that. You show up, you do your hard day's labour, you sit down, we'll have a fire, we'll have some food, we'll chat, we'll just check in, see where everybody's at. But that's a full day of it. They go home with that heartiness, they go home with that fullness. That's there for every man, regardless if you're in the WhatsApp group with us. Any man that's listening that wants to get involved with MRT, simply reach out to us and you're in the WhatsApp group. As well as that, any offerings that we have, you're more than welcome. You don't have to go through any initiation or any processes. You just rock up. But that's I think that's going to be a massive part of the medicine of being able to give back to people's land, that communities that needs maintenance, is that when men show up, they're going to get that hands dirty, mind clean experience,
Yeah, it's beautiful, Pat. And this question gets asked me on every podcast I'm on, and it's so broad, but it's like, how do we, if men wanted to reach us or get involved in this work, do you have a message for any man listening to get involved with MRT?
Do we have?
Do you have? Do we have?
Right. Oh, so what is purpose to you? Is that being a better man? Is that being a better husband? Is that being a better father? Is that you living without anxiety? Is that you striving to be more healthy or be more fit? So purpose. What is your purpose? And so someone's purpose could be, I want to travel the world. Great stuff. Or someone's other purpose could be, I need to sort my life out. Great. Either man's invited into MRT space. So what is your purpose? And if you don't know what your purpose is, write down what's important to you. What's important to you then? You might find your purpose in there, or you might find your purpose after you realise how many things you have important. That is important in your life. So write down what's important to you, and see what comes up. And let that be the fuel, the seed, the insight that you might need to actually go, you know what, here's a group of men, community of them, that may be able to support me in what's important in my life. Or they may be able to support me in me striving to have purpose in my life. So what's your purpose? What's important to you? Sit with that. Allow yourself to be in that space and write it down. Oh, we always say that. If it happens in your head and you want clarity on it, you want some sort of like organisation of it, you want it filed out in a cabinet, you can put it aside and you go back to it. Just write it down. Doesn't have to rhyme, doesn't have to make so much sense. It can be bullet points. That's probably the best thing to do. Write down the bullet points of what's your purpose, what's important. And again, a lot of people can go without a purpose and then because they're simply lost, or don't know what my life is, and all of us worth living, all this type of stuff. So the purpose can be a heavy one to ask someone. But then say, what's important to you? It's okay, what's important to me? And then you go through that, and it could be, again, the value in someone else's life could be like minuscule to where like nothing's important to me. What are you living for? I don't know what I'm living for. It's okay then. I think simply from the fact that you have no purpose, that you don't see it as important, that you don't see yourself what's worth living for, I think those three messages right there proves the fact that you need to come off the MRT, that you need brotherhood, that you need to come into a community of people that love you. But you're simply doing that. Just like, what's been put, you have your purpose, grant, boom. Can MRT support that? I'm sure they can. What's important to you? You look at that, lovely, I have it. Bring it over to the MRT space. Can MRT support you? I'm sure they can. You don't feel like it's worth living. Okay, grant. Can MRT support you? Absolutely. And you'll be brought into a medicine of brotherhood with that space. That'd be the message. Beautifully expressed, brother, and very well articulated, and there's a lot of in it. So the invitation would be for any brother that hears this podcast or hears these clips to link in with Men Rising Together on Instagram, menrisingtogether@gmail.com. Yes.
And to get involved in our next upcoming gatherings. So our next event is the 22nd of June, the community gathering, where we give back to the land, give back to the elders, give back to this community. Our next gathering after that is the 4th to the 6th of July, and we're going to be hiking Ben Nevis in Scotland. And then we have a gathering on the 1st to the 4th of August in the bank holiday weekend, the Expansive Experience. And then in September 20th weekend, we have Scaffold Pike, which is our third and final highest peak in the UK. And then we had then committed and elevated and summited the 3 highest peaks in the UK. And there's going to be scattered events throughout Ireland throughout the rest of the year. And then our leadership program early 2026. And then it's only the beginning.
Only the beginning.
Only the beginning. Brother, this has been a great conversation. I think we're after expanding and really expressing the values and the vision and the successes of where MRT is at, where it's been, and where it's going.
I'm celebrating our time and how we use it today, brother. A successful use of our time. I know that's a success story because we don't get much time together. And when we do, it's usually 4 hours of talking nonsense.
Yeah, or a Zoom call.
Or a Zoom call. So I'm celebrating that. Also with the differences in us, me and you, sitting here. We've matured a lot. And I just know if anybody gets a chance, you can listen back on that podcast me and you did with MRT and compare it to this one, and you'll see the advancement, you'll see the evolution, you'll see the articulation of how we speak and being impeccable with our word, and a lot of other things that come with it.
Yeah.
What's up, brother?
God is with us. Much love, brother. Much love.
Much love.